So Trump demanded that all of these Arab countries join the Abraham Accords as part of the arrangements that are happening in the Gulf now. Well, this was a very surprising move, and we're going to get into all of it in this video about how they reacted to it and why do I think Trump did it. What does he have in mind here? But let's start with the basics of the story. Trump demands Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Pakistan join Abraham Accords as part of Iran deal. U.S. President Donald Trump mandatorily requested on Monday that all countries involved in the Iran negotiations sign the Abraham Accords. By copy of this truth, I am asking my representatives to begin and successfully complete the process of signing these countries into the already historic Abraham Accords, Trump posted on his Truth Social account. The request was directed at Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, and Pakistan, with Trump noting that the other countries involved were already parties to the accords. The other countries involved, meaning the UAE, Bahrain, they were already involved. It should be, quote, it should be mandatory that all these countries at a minimum simultaneously sign on to the Abraham Accords, said Trump. Prime Minister Netanyahu's office did not immediately respond to a request for comment. That's smart. The other countries cited by Trump did not immediately respond to the Abraham Accords post. Quote, it may be possible that one or two have a reason for not doing so, he continued, but most should be ready, willing, and able to make this settlement with Iran a far more historic event, to make the settlement with Iran a far more historic event than it would otherwise be. President Trump further noted that Iran joining the accords would be an honor, with countries involved in the talks agreeing with that sentiment. Quote, they would be honored as soon as our document is signed to have the Islamic Republic of Iran as part of the Abraham Accords. Really? Said Trump. Wow, now that would be something special. That Trump went on to say that the negotiations are proceeding nicely. He emphasized that the United States would either achieve a great deal or no deal, in which case the U.S. would head back to the battlefront and shooting, but bigger and stronger than ever before. Now, the absurdity of this makes one wonder, because Trump is not a fool, what game he is playing. So it's very well known that he was about to go back to war to finish the job, as it were. And he got a gang of Arab countries, is the best way to put it, all called him. He said this openly. He gave a list. You remember last week, he gave a list of all these Arab countries, Muslim countries, that all called him. And he had this big phone call with them, and they were all pressuring him not to go back to kinetic action against Iran and to go to some sort of deal. And that's where we end up with this kind of narrower objectives for ending the war that we've been talking about now for the last week, which is opening the Straits of Hormuz and securing the enriched uranium and getting guarantees on the nuclear issue. It's really all boiled down to the nuclear issue and the Straits of Hormuz. Whereas, as I pointed out in some recent videos, if you go back to the beginning of the war, to Trump's speech when the war began, he was talking about ending all the support for the proxies. He was talking about the ballistic missiles. He also was talking about giving an opportunity to the Iranian people to rise up and gain their freedom after all these years. All of those things have fallen by the wayside. And it's arguable that at this point, with the unpopularity of the war and with the economic disruptions and the resilience of the Iranian regime, frankly, that Trump did not expect, and the way things are in terms of the timeline, that Trump has determined that what's in the U.S. best interest is to end the war this way. And while that might not satisfy us here in Israel, there's a case to be made. We'll talk about that more in a separate video that I'm going to be making later. But I want to focus on this Abraham Accords issue. So how was it received? So here's Politico's reporting on this from yesterday. Join the Abraham Accords, U.S. allies scoff at Trump's demand. So let's read this piece. President Donald Trump's demand that more Muslim-majority countries join the Abraham Accords and recognize Israel as part of efforts to end the Iran war is being met by officials in such countries with laughter, dismissal, and often silence. Trump's idea, should he stick to it, could endanger a U.S.-Iran peace deal. Governments may walk away from mediating talks rather than risk angering their publics by establishing ties with Israel. But some Middle Eastern officials aren't taking Trump's demand too seriously, saying they view it as merely the U.S. president trying to appease hawkish Republicans who worry he will give away too much in talks with Iran. Quote, it's a smart tactic to calm down the angry base, a Gulf Arab diplomat said, having been granted anonymity like others to discuss sensitive diplomacy. Quote, he will keep bringing it up again and again, but it will not be part of the deal. I think that is very accurate. I don't know. I say the second half of that. Why he's doing it, whether it's to appease an angry base, I don't think Trump's base cares all that much about the Abraham Accords, but he will keep bringing it up again and again, but it will not be part of the deal. There is no way that these Arab countries are going to join the Abraham Accords. Trump's assertion, nonetheless, injected uncertainty into an already volatile situation. A spate of new U.S. military strikes on Iranian missile sites and boats suspected of placing mines, as well as Israel's escalating offensive in Lebanon, are adding to concerns that a tenuous U.S.-Israel-Iran ceasefire could collapse and plunge the region into even more fighting. The war has already had economic fallout globally. Upon hearing of Trump's demands, one former U.S. official sent mock notes to Arab officials congratulating them on joining the Abraham Accords and received laughter emojis in response. Now, a detail like this in a political piece means that there's some guy, probably from a Democrat administration, who told Politico that he sent WhatsApp messages to some of his buddies from these Arab states, and that's how they responded. Whatever, it's not real news. White House spokesperson Anna Kelly noted that Trump has wanted to expand the Abraham Accords, which established diplomatic, economic, and other ties between Israel and several Arab states, since he launched them in his first term. Quote, the Abraham Accords have provided massive economic benefits to all countries involved and enabled historic cooperation. So this would be a natural complement to a peace deal between the United States and Iran, Kelly said. Trump wrote on Truth Social on Monday that he was mandatorily requesting that Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia sign on to the accords. He noted that he'd raised the idea in a Saturday call about Iran peace talks with leaders of many of the same countries. In his post, Trump suggested even Iran could join the accords. We read that already. So it mentions that some of the countries already are in the Abraham Accords. Egypt and Jordan already have peace treaties. For others, joining the accords anytime soon could be risky. In the wake of the Gaza war, Saudi Arabia has said it will not establish ties with Israel unless its leaders agree to a serious pathway to creating a Palestinian state. A Gulf Arab official said the Saudi position has not changed on either the Iran crisis or the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, despite Trump's entreaties regarding the Abraham Accords. Quote, the kingdom is supportive of all diplomatic efforts to resolve conflict, not military solutions, the official said in a statement. The kingdom also opposes all forms of aggression. Its position on the two-state solution being the only sensible way forward has not changed. The statement did not directly mention the accords. Pakistan, which is among the lead mediators of the U.S.-Iran talks, is also unlikely to join the Abraham Accords. As in many Muslim-majority nations, there is widespread sympathy for the Palestinians in Pakistan, and a government ignores that domestic opinion at its peril. Pakistani Defense Minister Khawaja Asif, in an interview on Sama TV, ruled out joining the accords, though he framed it as his opinion. Quote, in my personal view, I don't think we'll be part of any accords like this, said Asif, whose social media posts are highly critical of Israel. It would clash with our fundamental views, and I think no initiative like this has been taken from our side, nor has anyone approached us. A spokesperson for the Pakistani Foreign Ministry did not respond to a request for comment. Diplomats and officials from several other countries did not respond to requests for comment. They also haven't issued any statements. And few, after all, have incentives to risk Trump's ire by openly defying or questioning him. Okay, they're not joining the Abraham Accords. They're not joining the Abraham Accords. Why did Trump do this? What's Trump thinking? Before we get on to something more about the Saudis here, we have to talk about why did Trump do this? So I'm thinking that Trump did this because he's shining a light on them. And he's signaling to them where things are going. And where are peace and prosperity going? Where are the regional alignments going? Okay? And this brings up something that Abe Hamadeh wrote. Abe Hamadeh is a Muslim. I mean, he's sort of a secular Muslim. He's a Muslim in the United States. He's a Republican. He's a MAGA politician. He's a congressman. He represents the 8th Congressional District in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. And he's closely aligned with President Trump, Abe Hamadeh. I think he's serving his first term now. And he wrote an opinion piece that appeared in the Jerusalem Post 2 days ago, From the Abraham Accords to the Abraham Alliance opinion. And I'm just going to read you one piece of it. Here. Recent assessments from U.S. military leadership indicate Iran's terror infrastructure and military industrial capabilities have suffered significant degradation, creating a strategic opening for a new regional framework. America should seize that opportunity. At the same time, Europe is increasingly struggling to define itself economically, culturally, and strategically. Across much of the continent, weak leadership, uncontrolled migration, demographic decline, energy insecurity, rising anti-Semitism, bureaucratic overregulation, and economic stagnation are eroding confidence in the European project. Even many European leaders now acknowledge that the continent faces deep structural challenges in security and energy policy. That's a good assessment of Europe. The center of geopolitical gravity is shifting. The old transatlantic consensus that dominated the post-Cold War era is weakening, while a new strategic and economic corridor is emerging across the Middle East. The countries that embrace innovation, sovereignty, security, and economic modernization will define the next generation of global influence. Look at what is already happening. Israel has become a global leader in cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, defense technology, water innovation, and medical research. Gulf nations are rapidly transforming themselves into financial, logistics, and energy powerhouses with enormous sovereign wealth and ambitious modernization agendas. America remains the indispensable military and economic superpower capable of anchoring this coalition. Together, these nations can create one of the most dynamic strategic blocs in the world. Imagine an integrated regional air defense system connecting Israel and Gulf allies against Iranian missiles and drones. Imagine joint investment funds fueling AI, semiconductors, biotech, energy infrastructure, and next-generation defense systems. Imagine direct trade corridors from India through the Gulf into Israel. It's called the IMEC corridor. It's being built. And onward to the West. Strategic thinkers have already begun describing the emergence of broader Indo-Abrahamic frameworks centered on shared economic and security interests. This is not a fantasy. Much of the foundation already exists. The Abraham Alliance would also represent something larger than economics or military coordination. It would be a civilizational partnership rooted in stability, religious coexistence, entrepreneurship, and national strength against the forces of extremism and decline. Very well stated by Abe Hamadeh, meaning this goes into what Trump is doing. Trump is signaling to these Arab states, you got to drop all the hostility to Israel stuff. That's the real destabilizing force. That's the destabilizing force, is the anti-Israel stuff. It doesn't work out well. It causes more conflict. Drop it and we can all have a lot of prosperity and things could be really good. They're not going to. They're not going to because they care more about Islam and they care more about not angering the millions of citizens in their country, the impoverished, radicalized Muslim citizens of their countries who do not want peace with Israel. But that's what Trump is doing. He's shining a light on them. He knows they're not going to join the Abraham Accords. He knows Qatar's not going to join the Abraham Accords. He knows Pakistan's not going to join the Abraham Accords. And in terms of Saudi Arabia, you know, there's this piece. I was thinking of playing you the short video, but it's in Arabic. And I know every time the few times that I play a video in Arabic, I'm always asked in the comments not to do it because people listen and they don't necessarily watch. So I'll just read to you what this guy said. This guy's name, this is on MEMRI, on the Middle East Media Research Institute. Fantastic website. They translate a lot of Arab media. You should be following them, memri.org. Fantastic website. And they posted a piece the other day, last week. Saudi analyst Mubarak al-Ati. Okay? And that's this guy's name. Saudi analyst Mubarak al-Ati he did an interview. Here, I'll just read this to you. Saudi analyst Mubarak al-Ati said in a May 19th, 2026 appearance on Russia Today TV that Saudi Arabia has positioned itself as an independent player in the conflict without expressing support for either Iran or the United States. He said an Arab Islamic bloc has emerged under Saudi leadership, joined by Pakistan, Turkey, and Qatar. Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Turkey, Qatar. According to al-Ati, Saudi Arabia has put the brakes on the Abraham Accords and has begun clearing the region of Israeli presence, especially in southern Yemen, Somaliland, and Sudan. Al-Ati said that Saudi Arabia is paving the way toward a regional non-aggression pact between the Gulf states and Iran with Islamic and international guarantees, and open to additional participants. Let me read that sentence again. Understand what he said here. Now, this guy, Mubarak al-Ati, is a very prominent analyst who is kind of a spokesperson for Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia does not have freedom of the media. You can't just go on RT television, on Russia Today TV in Arabic, and speak on behalf of the Saudi government. Okay, it's not a free country. That's the benefit of countries that don't have free media. When people say things, prominent people like this say things, you know that you're hearing the regime line. Let me read this sentence again. Take it in. Al-Ati said that Saudi Arabia is paving the way toward a regional non-aggression pact between the Gulf states and Iran, with Islamic and international guarantees, and open to additional participants. Look who he's working with, the Qataris, the Pakistanis, who we know Pakistanis are working very closely with Iran. They want this thing over. They open shipping routes into Iran, and they have this very integrated partnership with China, and they want this whole, and they want, they're Iran's best friend right now. And the Qataris are looking for a way out of this. They're looking to be the mediator and to unfreeze Iranian assets so that the regime can continue. None of these guys want the regime to fall. They're terrified of the regime falling. So Pakistan, Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, this is China's Belt and Road team. Look what he says here. They're paving the way toward a regional non-aggression pact between the Gulf states and Iran. They want what happened in this war where Iran was attacking other Muslim states never to happen again, with Islamic and international guarantees and open to additional participants. He added that the Biden administration's humiliating withdrawal from Afghanistan marked the beginning of America's decline on the world stage. According to al-Ati, the global balance of power has shifted, and rising powers such as India, Saudi Arabia, and Brazil now have the ability to build strong relations with multiple world powers, not only the United States. Okay, that's the substance of this interview that he gave. So think about this. And he says proudly that Saudi Arabia has put the brakes on the Abraham Accords. So Trump is saying, hey, you got to join the Abraham Accords if we're going to do this deal. And they're just kind of rolling their eyes, because what they actually want, they don't trust the Americans at all. And they certainly don't want to be recognizing Israel or normalizing with Israel. The last thing they want is an emboldened and more powerful Israel. They're terrified of the fact that Israel is rising to regional superpower status. It's a nightmare for them. And they have these Muslim populations, and they themselves, they don't want Israel to exist. These are devout Muslims. Israel is anathema. Israel is a mark of shame on the Muslim world. Israel is a land that they view as a Muslim land that was governed by Islam, that was taken away from them. And the top priority is to get it back. They don't care about the Palestinians. No one wanted to create a Palestinian state between 1948 in 1967 when Judea and Samaria, known as the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip were not in Israeli hands. They were in Arab hands. No one was about to create a Palestinian state there. They don't care about them. They don't want Israel to be strong. They don't want Israel to be permanent. The last thing they're going to do is join the Abraham Accords. This is where their head is at. They're looking they want to make sure that it never happens again, that Muslim states attack each other like happened in this war. So they want to build this pact that ensures, with various guarantees of strong powers. And who are the superpowers they're talking about? When they say that they're going to guarantee this, they're going to have superpowers behind them. Who are they talking about? You know, there's the text of what he actually said here. You know, he says, the U.S. is still a superpower, but not like it was a decade ago. The balance has changed. Right? I mean, this guy is talking about a post-U.S. power world and how they need to build this regional non-aggression pact. They're not joining the Abraham Accords. And it's really sad because everything Abe Hamadeh wrote in that op-ed piece, in that opinion piece, is absolutely right. Just imagine if Israel's ingenuity and capital and technology and technological advances were married with Arab capital and a massive labor force in these Arab countries that is impoverished. Imagine what kind of powerhouse could be built, what kind of prosperity could spread to the people of Egypt and Jordan. Imagine the prosperity they could have if Israeli companies could use their ingenuity with the workforce of these Arab countries and what the cooperation could look like. It's unbelievable what could happen. And here, let me tell you my opinion. I'm not interested in normalization with Saudi Arabia. It's not a goal. I mean, if it happens on our terms, fine. But think about it. The Saudis are like, well, we're only going to normalize with you if you have a path towards a Palestinian state, which is not going to happen. I don't think it's worth it for Israel. You see, Saudi Arabia doesn't pose a threat to us. They're not going to attack Israel. It's not part of their plans. There's nothing on the horizon that would indicate that Saudi Arabia would ever lift a finger against Israel. And then you have the Egyptians who are flexing their muscles and everything, but they also are buying Israeli energy. None of the countries in the region are going to attack Israel. They don't like Israel and they're trying to undermine us in every way. But here's the thing. As things stand now, our relationship with Saudi Arabia works. I mean, we don't have normalized relations. We don't have real trade with them. But there's all kinds of security cooperation that we have. And, a shared interest in keeping global trade routes open around us, shipping routes. We have some shared interests. Saudi Arabia has outlawed the Muslim Brotherhood. That's good. They're not going to attack us. But if we have to pay a price for normalization of some sort of commitment to a Palestinian state or something like that, why would we do that? Why is it worth the price? And frankly, on the question of joining the Abraham Accords for all these countries, you don't want to join the Abraham Accords? Fine. Don't join the Abraham Accords. Israel is increasingly an economic superpower. Look here, let me show you some details. This is a graph of Israel's stock market over the last 10 years. Let's make it a 5-year graph. Israel's stock market, here's October 7th. I'm going to go to here's October 7th, 2023. Look at the stock market since then. This is Israel's stock market. This is a list of countries, GDP per capita in the world. This is a projection for 2026, according to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Israel is 20th in the list and rising. We were lower last year. We were lower the year before. We're ahead of Germany, United Kingdom, Canada, Hong Kong, the Emirates, France. ahead of all of them. GDP per capita. Israel is becoming one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Here's a graph of our GDP per capita over the last 25 years. Israel is booming. We're doing great. Israel's doing amazing economically. Our security situation is improving. We have growing alliances all over the place. Israel will be just fine. These countries, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Egypt, all these countries, there's powerful, rich people at the top, but everyone else is impoverished. They don't have real economies. They're collapsing from within. You don't want to be part of the Abraham Accords? Don't be part of the Abraham Accords. It's not a favor to Israel to be part of the Abraham Accords. The countries that have chosen to be part of the Abraham Accords and increasingly have security alliances with Israel, like the UAE, not exactly alliances, but security cooperation and economic cooperation. A country like Somaliland that is friendly with Israel is ostensibly a Muslim country, friendly with Israel, and Israel is going to start investing there and working with them. Watch, you're going to see prosperity in Somaliland as a result. You don't want to be part of the prosperity? Don't be part of the prosperity. But I think that's what Trump is signaling to them. He's saying, listen, let's put all of this crap behind us. Let's put all of this war behind us, all of this destroy Israel behind us. They're not going to listen to him because they don't think that way. But if they don't want to join the Abraham Accords, big deal. I'm not sitting there going, oh, please, please, please join the Abraham Accords. Anyway, that's my take on this whole situation. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you found it useful. God bless.